I stayed in special education for that year, for that second year, and then what ended up happening was, I was working with my students, I was doing inclusion, all those different things, and but the fifth grade teacher that we had, there was something that happened to where they changed and switched over to another fifth grade teacher. And so then that teacher, something happened with that teacher, and then all of a sudden another teacher comes over and takes over. So they had, by, I want to say, the first administration of the test, we had, the kids were on their third teacher. And after the first administration of the fifth grade math test, the scores weren't necessarily the best because there was instability. And so what kind of weirdly happened, though, was the students that I was working with, so all the special education students that had that I was responsible for, whether particularly the ones that took the modified version of the test, they had passed the test. Like they were done. And so at that point, we had a meeting as a campus, really, well, not really a campus, it was the special education team, the RTI team, and then it was also the team of teachers for fifth grade. And so with the administrators, and they were like trying to figure out a plan. And at that point, I was like, well, I'm comfortable with the content. I'm the only person that actually knows everything that's been taught the entire year because I did inclusion. I saw how the first teacher was teaching and where they left off. I saw how the second teacher was teaching and where they left off, and I saw how the third teacher was teaching and where they were at that present time. And so at that point, I was like, I'll step in and I can, at least be able to try to steady this ship and try to help us get to where we need to get to. And so we did, as a campus, we devised a plan, and we went from, I was able to step in, I was able to kind of have all the kids, they were able to at least come through me, and I was able to kind of give them those strategies that I had been fine-tuning, working with my students, and I was giving them my strategies. And really, my strategies were just a modified strategy, or just a different take on the strategy that some of the teachers had presented, because I would see how they taught a strategy. I'm like, okay, well, this is how I can make that same strategy work for my students. And so I was just applying that strategy, or those strategies with the gen ed students. It was definitely one of those things that showed me that I was capable of being able to teach gen ed students. Like it gave me the confidence to say I could make the transition over to gen ed and work as a classroom teacher. And one of the reasons why I was looking at making that transition was because now I was starting to look at education as more of a career. I wasn't looking at it as this was going to be I'm in it for a year or two. I'm thinking like maybe I'm just going to stick with this forever because I kind of like it. Like I really enjoy it. It never felt like work. Like working in the classroom, there are things that do feel like work, but it doesn't feel like a real job, at least not to me. It felt like, okay, these are the things I have to do to be able to work with kids. And teaching kids just doesn't feel like work to me. It felt like it was something that was like, it's just something about that you teach something and you watch somebody get an aha, or you see that breakthrough, that it's something that it's a very rewarding feeling and a very purposeful feeling. And so I definitely knew it was a job, but it didn't necessarily feel, I liked the way it felt from the standpoint of if I'm going to work, this is the kind of work I want to do.